Let's see. We got a couple questions over here in the chat, Matt. So the first thing is Biden gonna make COVID better
Um, um,
in the immediate?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Where's that? I
Look,
mean, we're gonna get
it's
to that story later.
yeah,
Like, it's the thing is like they need to have a strategy. Like, you need to have like he's not going to be able to do anything. Like, he's not going to be able to convince anybody to take more precautions,
right,
right? Because it's
yeah.
such a heated culture
And
war,
that's
right?
the bigger problem. The problem isn't what the government's doing or what the policies are so much as the people behind the actually average people that are buying in, that bought into the culture war, that
But like,
will go and talk about my rights. Actually, we should play this video from Humus Report
well, like
that
he
talked about
can,
these people up there in was it South Dakota, that
yeah, they're.
they're going to the death, talking about this is a COVID hoax, this is a Chinese hoax, as they
But the
slowly
thing
lower the
is,
fucking mask over them so they could keep breathing.
yeah,
And
the thing is though, like in a lot of ways they lost credibility though. Like they
yeah,
lost like
but I think that something
you
like
can't tell people to stay in
uh
and
huh.
then not you can't tell people they're not allowed to work and then not give them any money. That's
Yeah,
just
that's
it
a
makes no
that,
sense that
well,
they
yeah,
thought that would work.
that's a whole different problem, But as
So
far as as far as national mask mandates and stuff like that, I mean, sure, Biden could do something like that to the extent that he's able, but I mean,
no,
it's still gonna come down to a lot of people having to make the right decisions when they're not
yeah.
right now, and who's to say? I mean, when the vaccine comes out, those same people that aren't wearing masks are probably going to be more likely not to take a vaccine, and so yeah,
Well, like they have
that's the larger problem.
yeah, like the larger problem is not spending any money.
Yeah,
So like even if they don't want to give people another check, there's plenty of like local and like health and human services. There's plenty of government programs that desperately need money that would help, right? Like they might, even if they don't give us another check,
uh huh.
because who knows? Like, I mean, they're not going to be able to get much through. They're not really um, uh, like maybe they can work something out,
Hmm.
but I don't see any reason why the Republicans
No,
would go for it.
they're not gonna do that in the lame duck. But us go to the second question here.
No, I'm
Uh,
talking about in
in Biden's
even in
administration.
February. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know if
no,
Biden's
they're
going to be able
not.
to get
If
anything
there's no
done.
if the Democrats don't get control in Georgia, which I don't think they are,
That's
then they're not
highly
gonna.
unlikely.
Yeah, they're not gonna pass anything. The Republicans are gonna they're gonna block anything that they try to go ahead and get passed as far as the stimulus bill. But all right, is
Yeah,
their objective even to attract people anymore? Was it ever? You see, that's when we're going back to Pelosi and
yeah.
the
Like I
Democratic
said,
strategy.
yeah, we
Yeah,
go over this a lot on the show. It's like we can
yeah.
never really determine
Well,
if they are
I mean, all they
actually
want.
working for it or if they're
Yeah.
just serving the donors
No,
and
I mean
like they're not actually trying to do anything
right,
or they're just
what they
trying but they're really
want.
bad at it.
No, man, what they want is a bunch of just vote blue no matter who, brain dead people that watch MSNBC all day
Yeah.
just to
It's
get
like,
reinforced of their worldview. That's
yeah,
what they want. They don't want to go and work to reach more voters or expand their
yeah.
voter base. They want
They
to
think that,
radicalize more people to just vote blue no matter who, no
well,
matter.
that's why they had this whole strategy about trying to get Republicans to flip because in their head, the only people who vote are the people who always vote. You know,
Right.
it's like 50 and over, right? So they think that those like that's the electorate
Hmm.
and it's not changing. So they want to get more of that share of the country, right? They want to get more of that, whatever it is, like, 100 million people or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's been their strategy. And after we saw this time with the Republicans getting that record turnout, like they got probably might have to rethink that, right? Because it's always the historically like the the common knowledge was that high turnout Republicans suffer, right? And the more people that vote, the more
Right.
democratic the process, the more people vote for the Democrats. But that's not necessarily the case, especially with the way that working class is trending towards Republicans, right? So like they are going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something for the people because there's no, like, the Republicans are expanding their base, right? Like, they are getting in new voters. I don't know how. I mean, we could talk about why that is, but
Yeah.
like, there's not, nobody is, there is no never Trump Republican. There's no sort of like, there's no boomer who's voted Republican their
Mm-hmm.
whole life who decides that I think I'm going to vote
Yeah,
Democrat now.
I think I'm gonna change squads when I'm so late in life. But let's see. I'd imagine the only way out of the COVID crisis is the same solution as everything else: an incredible amount of money and corporate sacrifice, which we know isn't going to happen. Unfortunately, I'm curious to see how Biden moves
Yeah,
forward.
the
Yeah,
only way to do it is what it's been all along,
right.
is to pay people to stay home.
Yeah,
Like,
there,
if we had done that
a,
for a
a
couple months,
at least a
and
COVID UBI, at least a COVID UBI would make a big difference. You can convince people to stay home if they have money to stay home with.
yeah,
It's irresponsible to go and order a shutdown and no other means to earn money. I mean, look at these people can't sell their stock. you they
well,
can.
like,
I mean, it's not something that you could do to keep the lights on and keep food on the
and
table. It's
they've
just not
backstopped the stock prices since the beginning too.
right.
That was never an issue. There was always when money's been going into the stock market to keep
Mm-hmm.
it, level since day one. There's that quantitative easing.
Yeah.
Like, the entire stock market's basically socialized, right? It's like too
Yeah.
big to fail.
Exactly.
So that's not the issue. It's just like they, I think it's like the moral hazard thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think it's they don't want to do anything good. They don't want people to expect the government to do things for them, you know?
Right.
I mean,
I mean, yeah. There's that. It's that old. What is that? That boomer saying that they talk about, like that. The worst thing, the last thing you want to hear is, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help."
yeah, that's what Reagan said, right?
Yeah.
So the Republicans are like ideologically committed to making the government fail, right?
Yeah.
They want their strategy since the Reagan years has been to underfund everything as much as possible and then constantly point to it and say, "See, the
Uh huh.
government sucks at everything. Like, you can't get
Yeah.
anything done by them because they're incompetent. Like, we need everything has to be private market. That's where all the innovation and the gumption and
Mm-hmm.
the determination is
Pull
all in the
in
private
the
market."
shining city on the hill and pull yourself up
Exactly.
by your
So like,
bootstraps.
now when we actually, it's a life or death situation, the government
Right.
has to be competent, the government has to do a good job. They're not, they're unwilling to give it the resources to do a good job. And the Democrats, I think most of them have that ideology
Mm-hmm.
too, right? I think most of them believe that deep down
Right.
inside, like, you should have everything privatized as much as possible.
Yeah.
And to the extent that they do, they it's more sort of, they're only comfortable doing like means tested technocratic things that are um, going to specifically go to parts of their base that they are trying to appeal to. So that's why they float the college thing, because they know their base is college educated,
Yeah.
and like
That makes
they know
sense.
that
You see
that's
that
who they're
that's
trying to
probably
serve,
you see, and that's
right?
probably why they're trying to keep people in college, because I mean, let's face it, all this debt to go into school right now, it disincentivizes people from going.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know. Like I said, if I was starting now, there's no way I would be going to college.